Hello everyone, and welcome to League Center, where we give you all of your League of Legends related news, whether you want it or not. I'm your host Brian. Let's get to the news. And in our top story tonight, H2K Gaming has finally signed their support and AD carry, completing their roster. They assigned AD carry Nuclear from Spenu and support Chai from Jin Green Wings. A lot of people had high hopes that H2K would sign a star Korean duo like Prey and Gorilla before they were signed, or just big name Korean stars like Piglet or Peekaboo. While they may not be the big name stars that everyone hoped for, we can say one positive thing about the duo they signed. They surely are Korean. Now, a lot of people are worried about this bot lane, saying that they're a downgrade from Vander and Forgiven. Now, while Vander and Forgiven are a tough lane to live up to, Nuclear was one of the only shining lights on Spenu, and Chai did have his moments in Korea, looking like an above average Korean support for most of his play. Just remember that Huni and Reignover weren't even really known in the West before they moved to Fnatic. If you knew Reignover, you really only knew him from his really flattering nickname, Game Over. One positive note that we can take away from the signing is that Jankos is officially off suicide watch, as he was quoted on the stream for saying that if they signed Hjarnan and Kasing, that he would shoot himself, taking the nickname First Blood King to the next level. In another roster announcement, PSG Esports has officially announced their roster as well. They've officially signed Steve, Kyrie, Blanc, Pilot, and Spraddle. While their team does look promising to do well in the Challenger Series, the announcement of who they signed was overshadowed by their own announcement video. Their announcement video was so good that it did its purpose by making me forget about the disappointment of their non-Korean signings. It was so cool that I probably still would have been pumped even if they announced that they were signing 5 and 10 dudes. Over in North America, Immortals have officially announced their support, Ali. Who is Ali, you might ask? Well, just like a band a college kid is telling you about, he's actually really good, you've just never heard of him. He actually made his debut for the team last night at IEM, and I'm going to go on a quick sidebar rant about how shitty the production of IEM is. I checked IEM's own website, and they said the tournament will take place on the 16th to the 18th, which I announced in my last video. It actually started last night, the 13th. Now, IEM is in charge of hosting a major League of Legends event, one of the only companies besides Riot that hosts a League of Legends event, and they somehow forgot about 3 days in December. The real kicker was they put up the English stream late, so I had to watch a German stream for the first half an hour. So I'm sorry to you if you got the wrong date from my last video. So anyway, back on topic. Ali is better known for his time in Taiwan, where at his peak, people considered his skill comparable to Sword Art, which is very high praise. It's already known that he has very fluent English, and he has enough charm to woo any fake internet news host. Now, not saying I have a crush on him or anything, but if he had ice cream on his nipples and the only way to get it off was to lick it, well, let's just say, I'd scream for ice cream. Back over in Europe with our next story, it seems as though Misfits has officially announced that they have signed jungler Kakao. It seems as though Kakao got sick of his skin getting pruny by swimming in literal pools of money over in China, and is setting his sights on the top coveted prize of EU LCS, finishing top 4 at Worlds. Hey, it beats a let's just get out of group strategy that China's had for the past couple years at Worlds. Though, I understand the lack of motivation Chinese players have considering that the contracts they signed over in China are made out of literal dollar bills. Now, in the last story we're covering tonight, Riot has officially announced changes in both NA and EU LCS. Now, these changes for both of them are slightly different, so I'm going to go into both of them separately, though they do have similarities. We'll start with the changes over in Europe because these are the biggest changes. One of the biggest things they announced is Europe is finally going over to best of 3s, which is huge for European League fans because they finally get to bury the EU tie meme. Much of the joy of every fucking person ever. They also announced that they'll be moving the broadcast days of EU to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with some Flex Week broadcasting on Sunday. These Flex Sunday broadcasts are set to be happening in the 2nd, 7th, and 10th weeks of EU LCS, though these are probably subject to change. EU will no longer have a dual stream setup, they will only have one stream, and each broadcast will hold 2 best of 3s, and the time for these is yet to be determined. Another big change is the format change. EU has kind of adopted a LPL similar format where they have groups. We China now, boys. All 10 teams in EU will be split up into 2 groups, consisting of 5 teams each. G2 and H2K will be the leaders of each group, seeing as they had the most championship points from last split. I'm assuming that G2 will be the head of Group A, and H2K will be the head of Group B, though I'm not sure if that's determined yet. The rest of the teams will be kind of split up in like a Nemesis-style draft system. The first team in Group A, presumably G2, is considered Team A1. A1 picks first and gets to put any team they want into Group B, making that team B2. Next, Group B gets to make 2 picks in a row, where Team B1 gets to put 1 team in a Group A, and then B2 goes next and puts another team in a Group A, making these teams A2 and A3 respectively. Then A2 picks Team B3, A3 picks Team B4, and then B3 picks A. It just keeps going on like that. I'm not really sure why they're only making EU LCS like this. I'm not really for it or against it. It just seems like they're trying too hard to make up for the cancer that was best of twos. Like how your dad will overcompensate and he buys a bunch of gifts for you after he finally comes back from his 20-year beer run. One very important thing to note about the teams in each group, they will play each team in their group twice in a best of 3, and then each team in the opposing group once. So for example, say G2 puts Fnatic in H2K's group, H2K throughout the season will have to play Fnatic twice, but they will only play G2 once. And the way the structure of the season set up is that each team will play each team in their group in a best of 3 once, then play every team in the other group once, and then play each team in their group again once. The one big thing that stands out to me is that EU will only be playing 3 best of 3s as opposed to NA's 18 best of 3s. Now, I know that more isn't always better, so I'm not saying that this is better or worse. It's just pretty interesting that the number is still different between the games each region plays. And it is also weird that H2K and G2, the best 2 teams from last split, are only going to play each other once. Though, to be fair, it's going to be a pretty hype match because you're only going to see them once if they don't play in the playoffs. The playoff system is kind of similar as before, there's 6 teams in there, but it's ranked based on where you finish in your group. I'll put up a graphic so you can better see where each team fits. They made changes to the relegation tournament too, and I'll put up a graphic so you can better see how that works as well. One big change is that they only have the bottom 2 teams in LCS compete. Now, there are some policy changes and rules as well that changed, but I won't get into them too much because I'm not a lawyer and I have no idea what any of this legal stuff means. However, I will include these articles by Riot in the description if you want to take a look at them for yourself. Now, over to the changes of NA. They also do have some policy changes and rules similar to Europe that I won't go over as well, but NA did state that they're keeping best of 3, and they're also raising the prize pool of the NA LCS to $200,000. EU is doing the same thing with the prize pool, same amount. North America also made a similar change to relegation where they're only sending the bottom 2 teams. NA and EU both announced what they're going to do with the LCS sister teams in the Challenger Series. I'll try to keep this brief because it's going on a little long, but basically, NA is implementing that LCS sister teams can no longer compete in the Challenger tournament, so they can't get promoted to the LCS. Europe has a similar rule for the spring split, but it seems that in the summer split, they're not going to let sister teams compete at all in the Challenger Series, they're just getting rid of them. You can look at the article to see more complete details, and Riot also announced that they're going to be releasing more details around January. And finally on this topic, just so everyone knows, EU LCS is going to start the 19th of January, and NA will start the next day, the 20th of January. Okay, so that was a brief overview of all the changes they're making to the EU and NA formats. There are some details that I left out, but I tried to give you the most important things. If you want to look at more, please, like I said before, go to the articles. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. It's really appreciated. And if you want to see videos like this, please subscribe. Have a wonderful day.